How's it going, our wonderful people? What up, what up, what up? My name is Dame Dollar, the assassin. How's it going? I'm here with my guy Had.
Yo, yo.
And welcome to the Because We Ball podcast.
Off the top of the head, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, man. So getting right into it. Me and Hod are here because as two representatives of the podcast who had teams left in the NBA playoffs that just got knocked out in the semifinals, we felt like we had to come up in here and kind of reflect on the postseason, the season as a whole.
What was it? 2 days, 2 days from each other. We got knocked out on, I want to say Friday, and then you guys got left stinking on Sunday.
Sunday afternoon. Had to sit with it the rest of the day too.
On Mother's Day.
Son.
On Mother's Day.
Thank God I called my mom. That I called everybody early that morning. Sent all the text messages. I had got all that out the way because I knew I was in for a day.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the games real quick. We could talk about let's talk about the Knicks first.
Yeah, sure.
Met their demise first.
Right. So the Knicks played the Miami Heat. Obviously, if you listen to the last pod, we were pretty excited going in to the series. Were we at 1-1 when we recorded the first time, or was it before the series started? I feel like it was before.
Last time we recorded?
Yeah. I feel like it was before the series started because I feel like I was talking
before the series started.
A bit of shit that I probably should have tucked away. So
I think your tears just about to start.
Yeah, so basically, I felt good about our chances coming in. Obviously Jalen Brunson pretty much was solidifying himself as a superstar, in my opinion.
And let me formally apologize. I'm going to take this moment right here, right now, to apologize before anybody pulls the tweets up or anything like that. I was saying how much last year that there was a huge waste in salary for the Knicks. This guy was second fiddle. He got his numbers just because everybody was looking over at Luka. He wasn't really worth it. He can't be the number one guy. He can absolutely be the number one guy, and especially in New York. He's got it. He's got it for sure. I was wrong about that.
That's Action Brunson, man. That's Jalen Bruns him for sure. He he played a great series. He had an amazing playoffs, and again, out of Luka's shadow, running his own team, carrying the New York Knicks really to the postseason for the first time, probably with any type of gravity since Melo, right? So like that's really what we're up against. He's 6'0". You know what I mean? He's not the most explosive athlete. It's not like a Isaiah Thomas situation or a Kemba situation where like he's got this dynamic speed or burst or anything like that. He's literally just the smartest motherfucker on the court 95% of the time. And he played like it. And unfortunately, he was kind of the only one that really showed up. I mean, RJ Barrett had a couple of games during the playoffs that started to taper off during the Heat series. And the thing that everyone kind of assumed was going to kill us was Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler did not have a Jimmy Butler experience type game. You know what I mean? Jimmy didn't kill us really. Unfortunately, and again, I'm a big Tibbs supporter. I'm a big Tibbs fan, but it was Tibbs' insistence on rim protection that, we kind of weren't able to keep up with the shooters that, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Kevin Love, all these guys shot such high percentages because Tom Thibodeau plays an in and out style of off defense. And he's kind of betting the margins in the sense of people typically shoot a lower percentage from three than they do from two. So it's better to kind of focus on stopping the 2-point shots because the three is not going to consistently fall enough for you to do it over a long stretch, right? You might get hot, go crazy in the first quarter, but, with execution and rim protection, it kind of should even out. But the thing is, we don't have super dynamic defenders in general. And then you have to deal with the Julius Randle aspect of it, where he's probably the most athletic guy on the court, but he's also seems to be the most despondent a lot of times. He's just not giving a whole lot of effort. And that's kind of really where I'm leaning as far as like off-season talk. We're not there yet. We're just analyzing the series itself. But Julius Randle didn't show up. I think Jalen Brunson was looking for another person to kind of help him along because Jimmy was hobbled clearly and Jimmy wasn't really killing us. And Jalen and RJ or Jalen and Julius probably gets this done. But because only one guy suited up, um, the series went how it went. Also, our six man Emmanuel quickly, um, second running in the six man of the year conversation behind Malcolm Brogdon, completely disappeared for the entire playoffs. They still
Yeah,
got an
played eight
APB out on
games.
him. He only played in the first 3 games, and even then he scored less than 10 points in all of them. Like he just was completely absent. Um,
Yeah,
quite
playing
disappointing for me.
over 20 minutes a game, you got to do something while you're out
You
there.
got to do something, man. And he was really the head of the snake when it came to the bench. We talked about the depth of the Knicks for this entire season and how, like, even in the last series against Cleveland, they just didn't have enough horses, really. You know, Dame would do what he does. I mean, I'm sorry, Donovan would do what he does, and Darius would do what he does. But once one of those guys went to the bench, we mopped them. You know what I mean? And that's really what the series ended up being about. And their role players just played a lot better than our role players. And then, obviously with the defensive
Yeah,
scheme, it didn't really work out. So, um, you know,
not much you could do when Gabe Vincent, Max Struss,
yeah,
fucking all these random Heat niggas just start Kyle Martin start balling out of nowhere.
just out of nowhere, just looking like Ray Allen all of a sudden. It was kind of bad. And a lot of people had things to say about Tibbs doubling Jimmy because he was hobbled. I didn't mind that because again, I knew what he was trying to do, but we needed guys who were going to be able to move off those actions, and that just wasn't the case. So, yeah, we losing 6, man, to the better team. Honestly, I'm not too upset about it. Obviously, nobody had the Knicks going to the second round of the playoffs this season anyway.
Mm-mm.
So we got some retooling to do, but I like what we've built this year, and I like what it means going forward.
Yeah, definitely a season that, as a Knicks fan, you should be proud to hang your hat up on. Knicks tape. Shout out to y'all. They definitely had a season. And it seems like the years just keep on getting better and better. You know what I'm saying? Usually, with my experience, I lived with Knicks fans growing up, so I seen it firsthand. I may not have experienced it, but I seen it. I seen where like you'd be proud of a good season, but then the next one you go back to like, oh fuck, we suck again.
Yep.
Where I feel like
Yep.
these last few years, even before Jalen got there, like, okay, you guys started to see changes. You guys started to see players develop. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like the Grimes, when Randall really started to become, coming to his own and shit
Yeah.
like that.
All
You know,
NBA, most improved a couple years ago.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, I remember people talking about him for MVP not too long ago. Like,
Yeah.
there was like a spurt in the season where he could have been. He was talking about being like early in the season MVP talks.
Yeah. No, that guy's got some stuff. That guy's got some stuff happening in between the ears that is really, really unexplainable. He has a very volatile personality. And it unfortunately it shows up on the court. And I think with the arrival of Jalen, with the, as you said, the Quentin Grimeses and the Emmanuel Quickly's, hopefully he actually kind of fixes whatever was going on and comes back next season playing better. But I think and really RJ Barrett too, his performance in the playoffs has really solidified like, okay, we got something going here. We might need to move off of Julius Randle because it just seems like he's not reliable. It just seems like you're not going to
Hmm.
be able to count on him when it gets thick. So we might as well just kind of cut our losses where we are and try to recoup some value. Um,
Look for
I don't like
a
the fact
good
that people are
wing,
kind of
man.
talking like he's not a valuable player. Like you can't trade him. Like he's literally. He's on a descending contract. He's got 3 years left. 2-time All NBA. He's gonna be a workhorse. He just can't be the main guy on a contender. You know what I mean? But
He's got to
I
be like the
think
number
there's
three guy.
give him number
Let's
three
be
guy.
honest. Like history speaks. Like unless you're Tim Duncan or Dirk Nowitzki, like if you're the power forward on a team on a championship team, you're most likely like the third fiddle.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right, right,
Chris
and,
Bosh, Kevin
right.
Love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You're likely that guy.
you need those dynamic scorers around them so they can kind of, whether it's a finesse game that they have or a more inside game that they have. Julius can really do both. He's really again, he's a good player, man. I'm not going to sit here and act like the guy is not a baller. He is, but um Tibbs kind of has him pegged as like the leader, and I think he's
Mm-hmm.
miscast in that role. You know what I mean? So um I don't know, maybe Portland can do something with him and pair him with Dame. You know what I mean?
Phoenix.
Yeah,
Trade off.
Phoenix. There's some
You could trade
options,
off your trade emotional big men. You know what I'm saying?
right? You know what I'm saying?
Give me your
That's
broken
actually
big guy.
that's actually interesting, man. I didn't think about an Aiton Randall trade because Aiton got paid as well, right, last season. So that might be a 1-to-1
Yep.
and maybe
Ain't
some
got his money.
picks. But in that trade, Mitch would have to go. So and I know Cam Johnson is in.
He doesn't have to go in that trade, but he has to go in general.
He'd have to go at that point. And again, he had a pretty bad series too, which is crazy because he fucking dominated the Cavs series. He dominated Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. You know, the if you look at the offensive rebounding numbers, it's kind of ridiculous what Mitchell Robinson was able to do against those two guys. And you get in front of Bam Adebayo and you get sunned like that. It's just I don't know. It just felt crazy. Guys didn't show up, man. So a bit of retooling, some adjustments from the coach, and I think we'll be back here next year, but we'll see.
For sure.
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Now, mind you, I did have Philly going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
You did.
I did.
You did. I did predict us going to the finals, but I did also say that if we met Boston before then, it'd be a problem.
Right.
I did say before the season, the series started, that it would go 7, that Boston would most likely edge us out, and it did. And honestly, we lost in Game 6. We lost the entire series in the last 5 or 6, whatever that time frame was. We lost the series in that moment. From the body language, from our leaders, scratch that. The body language from our league MVP, the body language from our former league MVP,
Yeah.
from our first team All NBA big man, who finally got what he wanted. And then from that moment, it seemed like he kind of went downhill after he got those awards.
Yeah. Would you consider this a choke job by Philly?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy because you almost expect James Harden to kind of do that, to have his flashes of games where he appears and he disappears. He's been doing that since he was on the Thunder. That's just what he's known for. But that's not really what Joel Embiid is known for in the playoffs. He usually shows up. But this year, where it seems like we have the pieces, everybody's playing the way they're supposed to. Maxey has really came and he's become a star. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So quickly. Tobias Harris can obviously he could be a lot better for what he's getting paid, but he's having better games in the playoffs than he's had in the past. PJ Tucker is making all the difference in the world out on that floor whenever he's on there. That I'm not mad at Doc Rivers wanting him to start in Game 7. We needed him out there. It was a clear difference in our play style when he was out there than when he was on the bench. Right. So all the pieces I felt were there, and I felt our number 1 and number 2 just didn't show up. And I feel bad for guys like Maxey. After Game 6, talking about, if there's any other group of guys that I can go into Game 7 with, it wouldn't be anybody but these guys here. I truly believe him, but unfortunately, it doesn't start with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't start with you. Like, you're not the guy who's supposed to be rallying all the troops together to get us going. It's got to start with Joel.
Yeah.
And he's just year after year, he shows his ass on just how selfish and how self-minded and how self-centered he really is. Last year not last year, when Ben Simmons once he was here, and everybody says that he cost us that postseason against the Hawks, and Embiid kind of threw him under the bus in the post conference, and like that was wrong of him. But at the fans, they were more pissed off at Ben Simmons than anything else, so we kind of let that slide. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? We
Embiid
kind of was
kind
like,
of
all right,
Embiid was
he
kind of
got away
able
with
to
it.
skate. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It was like all
But
about getting Ben out of there.
This time he says, "Oh, me and James can't go out there and win alone."
Yeah.
I had to find the actual clip. I saw the Bleacher Report, the quote, and I never really read too much into the quotes, especially after losses like that, because I understand how context is important.
Yeah.
I found the entire post press conference, my nigga. That shit
And you
sounded
still,
bad.
yeah, you still felt like, yeah.
Yeah, part of you
I
wants to
got
be
you.
like, he's not from English isn't his first language. Maybe he couldn't find the. No, I can't
Nah.
even throw you that bone no more, my nigga.
Nah, that wasn't it. That wasn't the reason. For
That's
sure not.
some real loser shit. Bonafide loser shit.
I want
And
I wonder you know, I think it does rest on Joel at the end of the day. I mean, I'm just looking at it. I was still licking my wound, so I didn't actually watch the game. But Joel had 15 points and James Harden had 9. You cannot, not in the game 7, man. 38 minutes for Joel and 41 minutes for James
game
Harden.
6, when I said that last 6-7 minutes, he didn't touch the ball one time.
Yeah.
Not one possession did he touch the ball.
Yeah, that's not gonna work, man. It's not gonna be enough. Yeah. So I guess my main question is, so the focus is squarely on Joel at this point. Does this mean that the clock starts for him, or does this
What do you mean by
mean?
the clock starts for him? Like, does where he starts thinking about going,
Yeah, I mean
or does the franchise think about moving him?
the franchise thinking about moving him, because
I don't think that's the case.
I think well,
I
again,
think you
not
think about before that. I mean, they already made a move, which was part of my predictions that the first thing was going to happen. Doc is gone.
Doc's gone.
Um,
Yep.
Doc's gone. I feel like that's where it begins, because I think they have Embiid is under contract. Let's be real. He can ask for a trade, but before any of that happens, we have to do what it takes to appease to him first, and make him want to stay. We gotta either make a move for James Harden to trade him off somewhere, or we have to bring him back. Or sign and trade, or we have to pay him and bring him back and keep Joel Embiid happy. Because if we don't, then Joel Embiid looks around and nobody else is there except for Maxey, who's a great player, but him and Maxey aren't going to win it.
Yeah.
Aren't going to win it all. So I think it starts with I was never a big fan of Doc Rivers. I'm never a huge fan of blaming the coaches. I don't think it's Doc Rivers' fault that we lost this series. Game 6 or 7, I don't know how you can pin game 6 or 7 on him. Like, it comes down to the play. Like, if your MVP does not show up, what can you do?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what can you do if the quote unquote best player in the world does not show up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a lot from, Knicks fans as well, as far as like there's always been this fire Tibbs kind of attitude. A lot of people feel like, oh, Tibbs is probably going to end up being the Mark Jackson and the next coach would be the Steve Kerr. I don't know why you motherfuckers think we have Stephen Curry on our roster.
I was about to say, I think you're missing one important piece to that formula.
It's kind of, a lot of people are just talking about, oh, the Knicks have kind of reached their ceiling with Tibbs, but the thing is, the ceiling is where we're at now. Like, how do you know that that's the ceiling then? You know what I mean? Because you have to give another chance to kind of to see if he can go even higher than that, because I heard that 2 years ago that, oh, he's a first round kind of exit type of coach, and until you get somebody like Jalen Brunson, and then the timeline changes. But as it relates to Doc, if when you have the MVP and you have a dynamic scorer like James Harden, still with a lot in the tank, I think, and you have a guy like Maxey, you have the spacing that you need. You should be able to have something. You should be able to tool it out. But I also feel like James Harden is one of those pieces that doesn't make for good team basketball just generally. So it's kind of interesting that James Harden, regardless of what team he's been on, Brooklyn Nets, Philly now, Houston, he always kind of ends up in the same spot, right? Because when Harden is the person that you need to do the things, if he can't do that, there's really nothing else that he's giving you. You know what I mean? And it kind of makes it difficult for other players to kind of know where they're supposed to be. Because again, similar to how Jimmy Butler played it on the Heat, he knew, with his leg being messed up, he wasn't going to be able to kind of attack the same way. So what he started to do was initiate the action, wait for the rotation, and then make the right play. And James Harden is very much capable of doing that, but in the biggest spots, it just seems like that's not how he performs in those big moments. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think Embiid will be fine. Obviously, he's still pretty young. But
that boy about to be 30.
It's funny. And
people just forget because he didn't play those first couple of years.
Right,
niggas forget that he's been around.
Yeah, he has been around. And you know how it goes with guys from the continent. Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but Joel might be 38 now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might be 38 right now. You know what I'm saying? Shit, DeAndre
his body breaking down.
DeAndre Ayton is Jamaican. That motherfucker look 42, and I think he's like 23. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's kind of rough. So, yeah, I mean, he's already had a decent amount of injuries, but again, got his MVP this year. Has been great consistently for the last 4 or 5 years. I have no reason to suspect that it's gonna like tailor off at this point, but y'all have to get something for Harden. You cannot let him walk out the door, and it looks like that's what he's trying to do.
Get Dame. Let's get into that right now. Let's get into that right now. What do we think our teams need to do in the postseason to turn it around? I'll start since I already fucking said it.
Yep.
Go get Dame Lillard. That nigga already on Twitter talking about he like our roster. He said, he like the way we built. Find a way. Daryl Morey, if there's anybody who could do it, anybody who could pull it off, it is you. There's something about these Philly GMs and these Philly executives that just know how to work and know how to work the salary cap. Him and Howie definitely meet up, and they definitely have, lunch at next to the fucking Liberty Bell and shit.
Right, for sure. No, that's a great play. I think, I think that would work. I think Dame and Joel, you'd have to get on ESPN Trade Machine and kind of build the package. I mean, I don't know if
Tobias.
Where did Tobias come from? He was what was it? The Clippers?
The team? Clippers. Before that, it was the Clippers. And then before that, he was with the Magic.
Gotcha. Yep, Magic to the Clippers, and then Clippers.
He was really good on the Magic, and that's how he was able to get that big money contract with the Clippers.
Yeah, I wanted Tobias, man. I wanted him as
Tobias Harris over me. Haunts Philly. It will haunt Philadelphia 76ers fans for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, I think Philly can make a push for Dame for sure. And again, Daryl Morey is definitely um the right GM to kind of make it happen. You know, um,
Hmm.
yeah, I like it. I like it. I don't have any notes on that one. Um, as far as the Knicks, I again, you have to be in the market for a big fish. I think there's going to be a lot of star movement. Um,
The Knicks are always in the market for a big fish.
so I think that's cap. I think people like attaching the Knicks to the stars because it makes for headlines and it helps in negotiations, right? I think Donovan Mitchell is one of the players that definitely was coming. But I mean, we've heard Russell Westbrook, we've heard shit,
LeBron
LeBron
James,
James
Kevin
was
Durant.
supposedly supposed, all these guys were supposed to come to the Knicks. But I think this is probably the first time that there's some real smoke here. um I know Leon Rose used to be the agent for Cat, right? So
Ooh,
Carl Anthony Towns is being linked to the Knicks pretty heavily currently.
he's from Jersey.
He's from
He's
Jersey.
from Jersey.
He is a Knicks fan, by the way. He was always a Knicks fan. He actually did an interview as part of like the like the junior Knicks or kids Knicks things when he was in high school or something like that. He's always kind of been, and again, there's this kind of what I kind of think is cool. A lot of people don't like it, but I like the mob ties attitude that the Knicks have right now with like Leon Rose signing Rick Brunson, as an assistant coach. He used to work for Tibbs in Chicago, and Jalen been around Tibbs and Leon his whole career. So of course he was gonna come. Like they kind of take care of their guys a little bit. Some people say it's like the CAA runs the Knicks now, but I think for the most part, you bring a Leon Rose in because of those relationships. I'm also hearing now this is pie in the sky. I don't think it's going to happen, but Devin Booker. I'm hearing that there may be some motion on Devin Booker getting out of Phoenix. I know it sounds crazy, and listen, all I'm saying is again, it's another CAA thing. It's another Leon Rose. Devin Booker and Cat are the two players that Leon Rose has the best relationships with in the NBA, and a lot of people have felt like his angle, getting all this draft capital, getting all these picks, signing all these young players, is to make a play for either Cat or Booker. And it just so happens that both of them, well, Booker less so because they have to retool somewhere, right? They got to send CP3 somewhere. They got Kevin
That's where I
Durant,
think it
and they might
starts.
just, yeah, they got to send CP3 somewhere. They got Kevin Durant. They're going to keep around Booker. They're going to get rid of Ayton. They're going to retool in another way. They're not going to get rid of Booker. But again, it's a star driven league. If Booker says, "Hey, I want to go to New York," then it's not really nothing that Phoenix can do, especially with that new owner. He doesn't have the relationships right now. He doesn't have the kind of the ability to really dance in this ring in this arena quite yet. So I think he might get hosed if Devin Booker says that I want to go. So we'll see. Cat is definitely the more likely option,
I
and
could see that. I just can't see Cat being able to play in New York. Like under
yeah,
those lights, under that pressure,
yeah,
under the scrutiny that he's going to get. It's no matter whether he's going to go out there and put up numbers. Some days, the days that he doesn't put up those crazy numbers, they're going to talk shit to him, and I don't know if he can handle that. I don't know if
yeah,
he can handle a bad month in New York. You know what I mean?
yeah. But I also like the idea of an older Cat getting back with Tibbs. It didn't go well in Minnesota the first time. You know what I mean? A lot of people talk shit about Tibbs because of that. Oh, you traded Levine to the Bulls, brought in Jimmy Butler, right? Jimmy Butler doesn't get along with Andrew Wiggins and Cat. That team kind of blows up. That's really what got Tibbs fired, right? They
Yeah.
underperformed. They did win 50 games that year, and it's the most before this year that Cat has won in his career. You know what I mean? So it's not like there's Cat knows as you get older, as you mature as a player, those coaches that kind of are kind of hard asses and are kind of on you, you kind of start to need them a little bit more. Um, and again, when you look at the volatility of Julius, you need someone. You definitely can't be soft, but you need thick skin, and Cat isn't the thickest skin guy. So maybe it's not a perfect fit, but I truly believe that there are going to be players who want to play with Jalen Brunson. Like, he just seems like the type of player that players want to play with. Um, I kind of was, hoping that Philly would take out Boston so that the Jalen Brown conversation could start. But, and I still think Jalen Brown might shake loose. I really do. I don't think he
You
wants to
could.
be in Boston. You know what I mean? And I think that's really what it boils down to. Um, but again, I think enough on the margins. We have guys like RJ. We have guys like Grimes. I think they need to do something with Obi. They need to trade him essentially, because I think he's too good to just be Julius's backup. But I also don't think he's good enough to move Julius and then promote him to starting power forward either. So he needs more opportunity, and he's just not going to get it if he's Julius Randle's backup. So I would definitely trade Obi. Obviously, guys like Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose are going to have to get moved, but this isn't about margin moves. You need another star to play with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson changes the timeline, I think. Everything has to be. I think the front office and Tibbs need to sit down with Jalen Brunson and say, what do you need? And I don't care what that means. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Oh, RJ's the third pick, and he's our star. No, fuck all that. Jalen Brunson changes the conversation. You got to get guys around him that are going to maximize the spacing and maximize what he brings to the court, and kind of just work around that. Um, I know we're not going to get Mikal Bridges from Brooklyn because Joe Tsai will never trade a great player to James Dolan. There's real smoke there for whatever reason. But there's options, and we just got to see who shakes loose. I don't want Bradley Beal. I don't want Zach LaVine. I don't want DeMar DeRozan. Let's put that on the table as well. Those are not the guys.
All right. So let's do this then. You fix my team, I fix your team. Right?
Yep.
I just sent to you right now a list of the free agents upcoming in this 2023 off season. Let me list off some of the big names right now. We have Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Chris Middleton, Kyrie Irving, Porzingis, D'Lo, Kevin Love, Vucevic, Draymond Green, Fred VanVleet, Harrison Barnes, Jeremiah Grant. Let's go on so far and so forth. Now, I also sent, the rosters for each the 76ers and the New York Knicks.
Yep.
I'm going to take a look at this Knicks roster. You could take a look at the Philadelphia roster. And you let me know, what do you think? We're going to tell each other what we think our teams need to do in order to make it to that next level. What do we need to be championship teams?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I have the Phillies cap table set up already in front of me. You guys owe a lot of money right now, man. You guys owe a lot of money, especially going into 23-24. The even without James Harden's money, the total is $164 million, which I think is well over the cap. Let me actually see. 23-24 NBA cap, salary cap, 134. So you're 30 million over the cap. So
you know what to clear that right up?
This is without James Harden's money, bro.
No, not even him.
Oh,
Tobias.
Yeah, you got to get Tobias the fuck out of here, man. Got to get Tobias the fuck out of here,
That's
man.
what, 39 million or some shit like that?
39 million. Yeah, 39 million. He's got $76 million guaranteed over the next 2 years. That's nuts, bro. For Tobias Harris.
For what, 14 points a game?
Yeah. That's nuts, man. That was they signed that contract like the year, like 2 years before the COVID year, where like everybody was just throwing money at motherfuckers. You know what I mean? It was.
But like the thing is, we had a decision to make. We could have spent that money on Jimmy Butler, or we could have spent that money on Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
And for some reason, and our best player is best friends with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we, for some reason, choose the power forward.
Yeah, I mean, and I know what guys like. See, this is kind of part of the problem with the NBA currently. You know, there's this obsession with utility players, right? And guys like Duncan Robinson getting $90 million over on the Heat, and it's just like, for fucking what? Like, exactly what does Duncan Robinson do? Yes, what he does matters, but you have to value it properly. And again, guys are just kind of they're really taking the piss out of this at this point. They're stealing money from a lot of these teams. So yeah, trading Tobias Harris is definitely number one. I think you have to do a sign and trade, with James Harden to recoup some of that value. He has a player option. I doubt that he takes that player option. He'll probably do a 2+1, to be honest, because I'm hearing he might go to Houston or something like that, right? That's what most people are expecting. Some people are talking about the Suns, but again, I don't know what they're gonna do.
If he wants to go to Houston, if that's the case, then let it be known that he never really wanted to win.
James Harden doesn't want to win. I could have told you that, many years ago.
He never wanted to win.
Yeah, for sure. Unless it was easy, like literally, and like people act like that's impossible.
Unless he was coming off the bench.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like if it wasn't, if he
could just
ride with KD and Kyrie, then sure. Or if he could just ride Joel Embiid to a championship, then sure. But if he's got to get it on his own, I'm not quite convinced that he is terribly interested in that. He just doesn't come across as that kind of guy. So you definitely have to recoup some value for James Harden. People are also talking about the Suns in this respect. When it comes to James Harden, is there anybody on the Suns that you'd be interested in taking on in a sign and trade? Because Ayton obviously wouldn't work, and that's like the biggest fish. Would you take CP3?
No, and I hope that Daryl Morey wouldn't fall into that bait, because he has history with CP3.
Yeah, they both played on the Rockets, so
yeah. So I hope that he doesn't think because that seems to be his shit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got hit. Like, they're bringing in what's his name? The old coach, D'Antoni. They're bringing in Mike D'Antoni for interviews. Before we hired Doc, we were also interviewing D'Antoni. So he likes to bring in people that he's familiar with. Brought in James Harden. So it wouldn't really surprise me if he went out there and figured that CP3 would be the guy that we needed. I could see him maybe working with Joel Embiid, but I don't want a broken down old ass CP3 now. Like, this is Cliff Paul playing at this point. This is not Chris Paul anymore that's on the floor. Like, he's still the point guard. But I can't rely on him to be able to be out there and be in good shape for a whole season. And I can't even, let's be honest, I don't even have that faith in Joel Embiid to be out there for an entire season either. So I can't have both my point and my center.
Dude,
be injury.
Look at the Suns team payroll, bro. They only have 6 players under contract for next year. And
that looks like whenever I do a draft or my own what's it called? My own franchise in 2K.
Yeah,
that's how my roster be looking.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just top heavy as fuck, and like nobody else, everybody else just
Bunch of role players
just gets switched
of
out on
minimum
the
deals.
margins. My
But I
goodness,
mean,
man.
that's really how super teams are built. I mean, if you look at the old Miami teams, they're just built with like
Yeah,
top heavy dudes with contracts and a bunch of role players that are willing to take whatever it takes to win a championship.
I think and I think they're kind of moving away from that model because too many of these super teams fail. More super teams fail than succeed, right?
Yeah.
So I think again when it comes to the cap, when it comes to whenever it goes up, because it is going to go up, I think teams are going to be more willing to spend kind of distributed wealth as opposed to becoming top heavy like this. Um,
But the problem with the market going up is that the star players that you do need are going to take up a shit ton of that fucking space.
yeah, I think that's what the negotiations are about. I think they're trying to make it to where basically a star player can take up 50 to 60% of the cap, which is like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to build a team if one player or two players are taking up 60% of the cap? It's just really not possible. So yeah, the Phoenix Suns don't have anything to trade to get Harden
So
over
that,
there.
and even that Julius Randle trade that we were talking about earlier would be kind of difficult to make here.
Yeah, yeah. Unless it's yeah, because DeAndre Ayton makes a lot more money than Julius Randle does.
Yeah.
Still I think hold on. Knicks payroll. See, the thing that I like about the Knicks and kind of the way they have everything laid out is they were very intentional about giving out the money. So like for you see how like kind of spread out it is and over the same number of years. Like you know, you got Joel locked in and then everyone else is kind of on a 2 or 3 year deal. Whereas on the Knicks, these guys are on much longer deals. So this group is going to stay together for a much longer period of time. RJ Barrett is also in that range. RJ Barrett's extension hasn't even started yet. So that's really important. Um, the Julius Randle is only going to make $25 million next year. Again, the idea that we're not going to be able to trade this fucking contract blows my mind. Meanwhile, the Sixers are paying Tobias Harris $39 million, bro. Like, I just don't see how that.
And
I
I
don't
keep
see how they
saying like,
come
oh,
off that
trade him,
money,
trade him,
man.
trade him. But what team in their right fucking mind is gonna take on this contract and potentially buy it out? Nobody.
Yeah, yeah. You'd have
Nobody.
to. What's the draft capital look like? What type of draft assets do you guys have? I mean, because what did you give up for James Harden? I feel like it. I feel like there's not a lot of draft assets either in that
No, I don't even remember. I forgot what that James Harden trade was like.
Let me see. Okay, Sixers draft capital. You have your own pick for this year. No, this is next year. You don't have a pick this year. You have your own pick in 2024. You have our second round pick in 2024. You don't have a pick for 2025. Dude, I think Tobias Harris is a Sixer, bro. Because you can't even get off of him with the money, with the draft assets.
Dale Morey, you are a mastermind genius. You could think ways that me and Had right here couldn't think of at all. So I'm sure I have faith in you that you will find a way to get that light skinned thief off the fucking team. Because he is robbing us. You thought Joel Embiid and fucking James Harden just robbed us for a chance at the championship. This nigga is robbing us every summer, every July, every
time he cashes fucking check.
Nigga, every month, every first of the month, he is cracking your ass, nigga.
Yeah, for sure. That might be one of the worst contracts in the league, man. And I know Tobias Harris is a good player, but there's just no way to get to that money. Yeah, there's just no way to recoup the value for that contract. I mean, it's only one more year, and then your sheet is very, very clean. So,
But our championship window was just so small. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
we've been trusting the process. That era is over. We lived through the whole process and got nothing out of it. We are in the post process right now with the new regime of Doc, with the new star players of Maxey, James Harden, with the new role players that are emerging off the bench, and PJ Tucker and fucking Korkmaz. But like now,
this was probably the best.
this was the time.
This was the best time.
And unless we pull something out of our ass within the next 2 years, I wouldn't blame Joel, or I wouldn't be surprised if Joel wanted to go up and go to Miami and play with his boy Jimmy again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm giving Jimmy pretty old. He's going to be pretty old by then, but still.
They're both kind of there. So breaking news really quick. The Spurs have won the draft lottery and will pick number 1 first overall, and we'll have
Greg
opportunity.
Popovich gets his star big man again. That's 5 more years of coaching right there. He just won.
Yeah, I think
he just won another win of his career.
I think I would put off retirement for sure for the opportunity to get Victor Wembanyama. So rounding out the lottery.
Congratulations, San Antonio.
You've got Charlotte Hornets at 2, Blazers at 3.
Scoop. Oh my God, yo, that Hornets team is gonna be so exciting to watch. LaMelo Ball and Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, that's gonna be nasty. That'll replace the athleticism that they lost with Miles Bridges. I still don't know what that situation is gonna end up.
Doesn't matter now.
You think it's over? Because I think he'll be back in the league.
If you're Michael Jordan, do you give a fuck?
Michael Jordan doesn't give a fuck about a whole lot of anything.
Exactly. Yeah. So Michael Jordan sees this and he's like, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah. So Trailblazers number 3. That's actually a really really good spot for Dame and company. Houston Rockets.
If I'm them, I'm trying to trade up. Actually, you got to try to get that. You got to try to get up to number 2. Because I feel like I don't know what the drop off is. From 1, 2, and then the rest of it. Like, because the guys that obviously this draft have been talking about is Vic and Scoop.
Yeah. There's another kid. There's another kid in there. From I want to say Alabama. Brandon Miller. Yeah, Brandon Miller is actually looking like he is slotted to go number 2 in the lottery. And Scoot would actually go to the Blazers.
Scoot is a point guard. Oh, he's 6'2" point guard. No, I thought he was a 2 guard.
I thought he was a 2 guard as well. That's interesting.
Never mind. That's actually a better fit then.
Yeah, Brandon Miller is actually going to be a nice spot for the Hornets.
But the problem is you already have a backcourt in Dame Lillard and
Shaden.
And that not only that I think this makes it more likely.
Right? I think this makes it more likely that they the league does this, man. They do this. This is what makes me feel like, at least in some capacity, this shit is a little rigged, because Anthony Davis makes it clear that he wants to leave Pelicans. Zion, right? They get the number 1 pick. Dame is clearly going to leave Portland. So, of course, you would gift him Scoot.
Yeah, it's not that clearly. It's not that clear.
I think it's pretty fucking clear.
I only think it's just been fan speculation and fan built tension. And I don't think he's said anything other than, like, I want to win a championship here.
He made only ever said
the right things.
He low-key made a diss record.
Plotting on the ring, they say I should do the Lakers. Fuck that loyal shit. What if Reggie just left the Pacers?
That sounds like a diss to me, man. If I put out a freestyle,
Daryl
was like, it's like they telling me I should divorce her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of clear what the fuck is happening at that point. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's gonna be some movement. in the offseason. I think because again, we're at legacy time for a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? Certain
Oh
guys
my god, I
are
hate
having
this
their last.
legacy talk.
A lot of
I'm
guys are
more so
getting their
hated
last
on
runs,
Twitter.
bro.
I'm more so hated on Twitter. Niggas was really talking about Jason Tatum saved his fucking legacy. That nigga is 25
20,
years old. He could
he's a
have
kid, bro.
he could have lost this series and won the next 7 championships.
Yeah,
and
well,
still be in his prime.
I mean, for the old guard, I'm talking about Harden. I'm talking about Dame. I'm talking about CP3.
I'm just tired of hearing this word lately.
Well, just
Jesus Christ.
in that vein, how do you feel about Kevin Durant, just in general, in his career and what's transpired? Is it solidified? Is it done, or does he still have work to do?
He's already proven as one of the greatest scorers of all time.
Right.
He has 2 rings?
Yep.
He has 2 rings. Scoring titles. An MVP. The years that he did win those championships with the Warriors, he was the Finals MVP both times.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the clear difference in that team. It's
For
clear
sure.
because since then I think LeBron has not lost he's only lost like once to the Warriors since.
Yep.
So I think it's a clear slight, obviously, in his legacy that going to the Warriors, going to the best team, those rings do carry less of, maybe a little less weight than say like a Dirk's ring would or D Wade and Shaq's ring does.
Yeah.
But ultimately, let's be clear, 25 fucking years from now, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like when he's in the Hall of Fame and he's at the podium giving his speech, nobody's gonna fucking give a fuck. Let's be real, because we understand that he had like. The only reason the Warriors, continue to be a dynasty after that was because of him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I mostly agree. Obviously, I'm a bit biased as a Knicks fan because I truly believe I truly believe that he was going to come to the Knicks, and because of the Kyrie influence, he said, "Well, hey, we're already going to be in New York," and I don't think Kyrie wanted to deal with James Dolan. For whatever reason,
both of them didn't want to. I think they're both too because I think what was happening with Charles Oakley was also happening around the same time, right? That story with him getting kicked out of the arena.
I feel like it was the same. I feel like they had already
maybe
gone
a couple
to Brooklyn.
Seasons after.
Yeah, I feel like they had already gone to Brooklyn,
sure?
but like it was like that
Let me
year.
check.
Yeah, the Oakley thing I think was 2019. I think
because I feel
there.
like the narrative around that time was like, the Knicks don't treat their legends right, shit like that. And I feel like KD and Kyrie are very woke in the sense of like, we're not
that was
gonna
2017.
go somewhere
My goodness.
Yeah. It's like we're not gonna go somewhere where we're not appreciated if we go out here and give our all.
See, but that's the part that I think is cap. I think they didn't want to go to a place where they clearly wasn't going to be able to make their own decisions. And I think when you have a Brooklyn Nets team that's up and coming and kind of not saying
still a very green franchise as
right.
Well. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, as
they're
a Brooklyn team, they're still very green.
Right.
Yeah,
they're still kind of charting the course. So I feel like Kyrie was again trying to manipulate the situation to where like we'll be in New York. We're so big, we're gonna be so great that we'll be able to we'll be the Knicks, but like in Brooklyn, and we'll make Brooklyn the new Knicks. Like we don't need them, right? And then that's exactly not what the fuck happened, because the Knicks fan base is very real. They're very loyal, probably more so than a lot of other teams. I think the Northeast teams specifically fuck with their teams, and we don't do the click hopping. We don't do the, my favorite player plays on the Mavericks, so I'm going to root for the Mavericks as long as they're not facing my team. No, it's this or die. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really it. So you might be able to pull that with like, certain teams, but the legacy teams, the the Lakers fans are not going anywhere. They're not going to root for the Clippers now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might be able to take some Sacramento Kings fans from,
if the Orlando Magic moved down to fucking Fort Lauderdale, closer to the Miami Heat, there's
Right.
no shot in hell that the Heat culture is gonna go up there and support the fucking Fort Lauderdale fucking
Right.
Clippers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so the idea that they were going to be able to have the same level of success and kind of just like little bro. You remember the movie Good Burger?
Yeah, of course.
When Mondo Burger opened and they flicked the lights and then they just shut the lights off on the Good Burger, like, yeah, they just shut the power off. I feel like that's what they thought was going to happen. Like, the Brooklyn Lights were going to be so deep that like nobody's going to go to the Garden because everyone's just going to come see the stars of KD, Kyrie play in Barclay, and they couldn't even fill all the seats in the Barclays Center. When they had Harden, you know what I mean? They were giving out free tickets still. So again, biased Knicks fan, a little bit of a hater, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm enjoying watching these motherfuckers fail. I really like that shit. Is just warming up my fucking spirit. Now again, KD is absolutely. He was created in a laboratory specifically on the mission to play basketball.
He is the buckets.
He has the most gifts I've ever seen of any basketball player ever. People talk about the Victor Wembanyama's. Kevin Durant already exists. Now, he's not 7'3", he's only 7'1", but Victor Wembanyama needs, would need to, pray to the Lord that he ever becomes the level of player that Kevin Durant is. So
he needs to focus on staying healthy because the thing about these fucking unicorns,
these
this nigga is
players,
7'3". He's 7'3". I've seen him play. Let me be perfectly clear. Since like 2K fucking 21 or whenever, or 2K20, when I first moved down here to Miami, me and my uncle would franchise mode. We'd be fucking 3-4 years in the future drafting this nigga and like saying, who the fuck is this kid that is a fucking unicorn out here playing like he's a point guard? I look him up on YouTube and I see that he's a fucking giant in France. He's killing it. He's a real person.
Yeah,
he is really fucking good. So let me tell you, I am rooting for this kid. The same way that like when LeBron was coming out of high school, my dad was telling me about him coming out of St. Vincent St. Mary. Like, I'm looking at him the same way. And I'm hoping to God that, you better stay healthy, bro, because you are a fucking freak of nature, and you could change the whole landscape of the NBA and how and the way that, the big man position is played going on in the future.
I think, I think his health is the most important thing. I think, but you look at guys like Chet Holmgren, right? You look at guys like Kristaps Porzingis, honestly, I look at people act like there's no path for him to be Bol, and there is. You know what I'm saying? Bol is also an extremely gifted, extremely skilled wing style player. Now I'm not saying Victor Wembanyama is Bol, but
he's better than that nigga. Come on,
he's better than Bol.
He's better than
for
that
sure.
Nigga.
But I'm just saying, like, we've seen these jumbo wings before, and we've seen it not go so well. But then you have Kevin Durant, who truly is the unicorn. He's 7'1". He's really that size. Defensively, offensively, you have that guy on your team. There's nothing. I've never seen anybody do anything with him. If he loses, it's a million other reasons.
There's going to be a million other reasons because he has the one advantage that none of these other freak of natures has. He has Greg Popovich there to put him under his wing and teach him the ropes. He has Tim Duncan. He has Tim Duncan in his corner.
It was really the best.
He has Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. He has all these David Robinson. He has all these greats that he can go to. Literally, like you're about to say, the best team, the best. I'm looking at these top 10 teams right here. I'm literally looking at the top 10 teams. This is the best situation that he could have hoped to go to.
Very much.
Houston, a lot of young guys, a lot of chaos over there. James Harden's about to go back there and run a fucking mockery in the fucking locker room. Yeah. Charlotte Hornets, a bunch of young guys as well. Detroit Pistons, a whole bunch of young guys as well. Not a lot of coaching experience, a lot of like coaching mishaps going on. amongst all those teams. So as long as Greg Popovich says that, if he wants to keep on going, I don't. Did he talk about anything about retiring? Hopefully he didn't, because
no,
look,
he didn't.
those words.
He hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't copped to that yet. So I don't think that's gonna be the case. First of all, fucking Imani Bates being number 60 here is bananas. I just want to make that clear.
Wherever he goes, he's gonna be a steal.
On May 16th, 2023, Imani Bates being the 60th player to be drafted would be fucking nuts. It would be malpractice.
I feel like I'm calling this right now. I think he goes to the Clippers for some reason. The Clippers, for some reason, they just have a way of drafting these young guys that go forgotten about.
Yeah.
Like, how they got like Brandon Boston, like a lot of the guys who made a lot of noise in high school that people forgot about, like Brandon Boston. I feel like they'll get him.
Very true. Very true. I mean, whoever gets him, they're coach him up, obviously, but that guy has every single skill you possibly could need. You know what I mean? And especially in a wing player. Do not let the Knicks somehow get a pick for moving off of like a Derrick Rose, or trading Obi and getting into the lottery. Not obviously not lottery, but just second round or something like that. Again, we could use some guys on the margin, but nobody that's gonna. I'm here in Raleigh, so Taquavion Smith has been talked about pretty heavily as well.
What I was gonna tell you, my thing that the Knicks need, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, and this is what I feel like every championship team needs, is a wing player, somebody at the 3 position. If you look at the teams that win championships every single year, there's always somebody at that 3 position that makes a difference for them. For the Warriors, it was Kevin Durant. Before Kevin Durant, it was Iguodala. Literally, he won MVP. What's his name? Kawhi Leonard. You know what I'm saying? Giannis, you can argue he's the 4, but I mean, he's 3, 4, whatever. He could play all the positions, but
yeah. I wouldn't mind taking a look at Karis LeVert, to be honest with you. I think he's a good player. Obviously, I want to keep Josh Hart. Again, if we're going to be in the trade market, there's a couple of players that I'm already kind of got my eye on. I want to see what happens with Seth
Josh
Curry.
Hart isn't like, he's not like your true 3. He's 6'4", you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a bit small. Again, I just think shot making was the difference, especially on our bench. So a guy like Seth Curry or Joe Ingles, someone that can kind of just space the floor a little bit, is the biggest thing. Don't get me wrong. I know we need a jumbo wing, right? We had that with Cam Reddish. It didn't work out. I don't want anything to do with Cam Reddish. A Torrey Craig. Again, let me go back to the Phoenix Suns. Josh Okogie, TJ Warren. Like, we could just pick off what they got going on over here.
Here's the Knicks deal that will happen that you may not like, but I could see it. The Knicks trade RJ Barrett, who else? That's the main nigga. RJ Barrett, possibly Mitchell Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson. For Pascal Siakam.
I do like that. I do like, what, and like maybe 2-3 days
it seems
ago,
like they might be, they're scrambling over there in Toronto.
Yeah, for sure. That would be really interesting, and I think Jalen and Pascal would work really fucking well, actually.
And then maybe you do trade Julius Randle. I mean, we looked at the Suns cap. It doesn't seem like
they can't get
trade
him.
is in there.
Yeah, they can't get him. Yeah. I want to take a look at the Raptors cap sheet as well, because Pascal only has 2 years. That's a lot to trade for somebody with very little team control.
But that's also a reason that Toronto would be willing to shoot.
Yeah, but not for RJ. We just signed RJ to a major deal.
That's
true. I think maybe man, it's tough. What I really wanted to look at is, does Pascal play the 5 at all? Yeah, he does play the 5. Because maybe you don't need to trade Julius if you have Pascal Siakam.
Small ball.
Small, yeah.
You got to get better. Lineup. You got to get better shooters. Got to get better shooters.
Yeah.
If that's the case, you got to get better shooters.
They call him Spicy P. I've never heard anybody call him Spicy P. But
I think Serge Ibaka, I think, gave him that fucking nickname, something like that. I don't
disgusting.
know. Or the internet.
Again, anyway. Look at this. This nigga is not 29, bro. Come on, like this is all cap.
Cameroon, yeah, yo, I think 35, yo.
At least, bro. At least this man has a grandchild. Like you're not gonna convince.
Over there.
Yeah, you're not gonna convince me he don't have a 4-year-old grandchild, bro. It's just not possible.
All right, give me your before we wrap this up. Give me your. That was my hot take for what's gonna happen to you guys. For the Sixers, I think we do end up dealing Harden. I would like for us to deal Tobias Harris. I don't think it'll happen, but I would fucking love for it to. They already fired Doc. I would love for us to go after either Budenholzer or Monty Williams. Budenholzer has that.
I don't like either one of those guys for y'all. I would say Nick Nurse.
I like Monty more so for us. Nick Nurse. I think is he's actually the one guy on the list. I think they're looking at right now. I think from reports that I saw today.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick Nurse is also on that list. But more so Monty Williams than Budenholzer. But yeah, I mean Nick Nurse too. But I really haven't been too impressed with the way that Nick Nurse has been managing the Raptors over the last couple years. I feel like the roster really hasn't changed outside of Kyle Lowry leaving, and it's not like, I mean, if you want to go ahead and say that Kyle Lowry leaving has changed that team obviously. Kawhi Leonard leaving changed it to from a championship team to what they are now, but they still remain good. And I don't know. I feel like they still could have made conference championships at least, or maybe not back to the finals, but that for a team that kept on winning the same way that they have, I feel like they should have been doing more.
I feel like they haven't even been back in the playoffs in a while, right?
They were there last year. They were there last year, weren't they? I think this is the first year that they missed it, maybe.
Raptors season. Well, Raptors record 2022 41-41. Well, is that this year?
21-22 they went 48-34. Fifth in the
okay, so yeah, they did make the playoffs last year. Let's see.
And the year before that, they might have. I think the year after Kawhi, they might have missed.
Got you.
Yeah, they went 27-45, 2022, and 2020. That was ass.
Crazy. What? All right. Well, yeah, they've second round, championship, missed playoffs, first round exit, missed playoffs. Yeah, they got to retool, man. They definitely got to figure it out. And they do have a really, really good roster. You know what I'm saying? You look at the roster, you got Scotty Barnes, you have Gary Trent Jr., you have Fred VanVleet, Pascal. That's a team. That's a good enough team.
You shouldn't have missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have missed the playoffs.
For sure.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm too hot about Nick Nurse. But we'll see. Those are my but whatever we do, hold on to Maxey. There's no reason, because I know Maxey's team that's a rumor that Maxey's team was demanding a trade a couple years ago, which is kind of strange for a young guy to be doing.
Yeah, so young, for sure.
Yeah, but clearly there was something wrong there, but do whatever we got to do to keep that nigga in the locker room. He's the only one that cares. He's the only one on that roster that fans can believe when they go into a post game presser afterwards and they tell the fans what's going on. He's the only guy that it's believable when they speak.
I
So
agree.
he's the golden child.
I agree. You definitely need to keep him. You're gonna end up keeping Tobias, and yeah, hopefully, really, what it boils down to is like Dame or bust. I think for Philly, and I
Dame or
think
bust. Let's do it. Get it done.
yeah, and I think it's a very likely chance that that's where he ends up. Because again, I don't think a lot of other teams are gonna swing on a 32-year-old Dame Lillard. So give it one more run and see what you can do. I think that's it. But yeah,
What you got? Any final hot takes?
um,
Hot predictions?
I think the Denver Nuggets win the chip.
Me too. And I've been saying this since the beginning of the year that if the Nuggets can get there healthy, they can win the chip because they have not had the chance to fully healthy yet.
Yeah.
Like every year, there's either Jamal Murray's hurt, Michael Porter Jr. is hurt. You know, they're low on the bench. You know, there's always something.
This is gonna be
But
the
now
worst.
I feel
This is gonna be the worst. Not worst
God,
championship team, but it's way too many light skinned niggas. It's a big Eastern European as the star. This is gonna I'm gonna hate watching it. But the Denver Nuggets are definitely gonna win the chip this year.
I think it's gonna be Nuggets and Celtics, and I think that goes to Nuggets in 7. I think that series will go to 7. I think.
Wow, man. Again, you realize the Nuggets have never made it to the finals, right? Like the closest they got was the Melo AI year where they went to the Western Conference Finals. Great run. That was like 2 years before Melo ends up going to the Knicks.
What am I talking about? LeBron James or bust. LeBron James will win his what was this? His 5th or 6th?
This
would
be
right?
6th, right? 5.
No way.
Well, 2 with the Heat, 1 with the Cavs, 1 with the Lakers. 4. So this would be 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be LeBron's 5th title, unless he goes up against Boston.
I think they can beat Boston, man. I don't trust AD as far as I can throw them. And again, I know they're longer, they're deeper than just AD, but I just, until I see him do it.
I think that Boston bench just bullies the fucking Laker bench, though. I don't think Austin Reeves gets off the same way on Marcus Smart.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about Austin Reeves getting like $100 million. Let the playoffs run it out, because like you're only as good as your last series. So we'll see where he impacts the game, going forward, and then we'll talk about his money.
Yeah, I think that the lights are going to get bright for a lot of these inexperienced players. No shots, but we saw it with the Knicks. That's why I did want to go up against the Knicks, because of the inexperience. We're seeing how Jimmy Butler's doing it with a bunch of nobodies who have been there before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These guys,
and they got
may
nothing
not
to lose,
be,
man. This is all house money for
seriously.
them. Yeah.
Seriously. They're the 8th seed, bro.
Yeah.
All they can do is go out there and play hard.
Yep. For sure.
So, yeah. But I think their time runs out. Not for nothing. Gabe Struss, Max Vincent, whatever the fuck all these niggas.
Yeah, nah, they're gonna run up into that. They're
gonna only be hot for so long.
Yeah, for sure. That Boston defense is serious, man. So,
yeah, their time is up. I think Boston in 5. Honestly, I think they dominate this series.
I think so too. I think we did enough beating up of Jimmy and them, to kind of make sure that they don't come in feeling very confident. And I think Boston gets the first 2. And then I think Miami gets one on the road.
If they come in the way they came off on Philly, they're rolling.
Yeah, for sure. And they have no matchups. They have no matchup advantage in Miami. So, yeah, I think it might get ugly.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if we're gonna, call this one of our emergency meetings just yet. Probably not. This is probably just be a separate, special occasion for the NBA playoffs, because, my team was there. Hod's team was right there. We could have met up in the conference finals. That could have been a very special thing, a very special moment in pod history for us. but we just came up short for a very disappointing season once again. That
We
we're
had
both
so much
used to. It's
planned.
been
We
a
were
really,
gonna.
it's been a really, really tough year for Philly in sports, man. They
Yeah.
lost in the World Series, and
Yep.
then we lost in the Super Bowl, and
Yep.
now this shit. Oh my
Yeah.
god, what a rough year
Coming
to
up
be. I mean,
short,
I'm a
man.
Cub. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan in baseball, but what a rough year to be a Philly sports fan. So thanks
We
for
gotta
watching, y'all.
we gotta talk about
Oh
that one day.
no,
How where we made our bones as far as like our sports teams. Like what happened. Like and did
bro,
if
when
you
the
could go
Cubs won
back.
the World Series, woo, that was some shit, yo.
If you could go
That
back,
was some shit.
would you still invest the time to being a fan of your respective team? Like, you know
Oh,
what I mean?
I actually gave up on my original NBA team. I always liked the Sixers, but they were not always my first love.
Okay.
My first love was the Orlando Magic. Tracy McGrady was my LeBron James before LeBron James.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, he was my favorite player to watch. I loved him in Toronto, but I started following basketball around 2000 2001 because I think we got it was the NBA Live with Steve Francis on the cover. I forget which one that was, 2000 or 2001.
Hmm.
But we popped in that game, and I think the first match that we played was the Toronto Raptors versus the Orlando Magic. So Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady were the first two NBA stars that
Hmm.
I got
But
to
you,
know,
yeah,
and those are two of my favorite players. Vince Carter's my favorite dunker of all time. Tracy
of course.
McGrady, number two behind LeBron James for sure. Um, but yeah, Orlando Magic had my heart at first, but after some shitty fucking management
Yeah.
decisions, I
That
had
I
to
think
part
that's an
ways.
easy one to kind of get off of. I
Yeah.
mean, after Shaq, they had
And
the
it's not
Tracy
like
era, and then
it's not like I joined the Sixers bandwagon. I started rooting for them. We still sucked. It was like the year after we were like one of the worst winning teams ever, some shit
mm,
like that.
yeah. I'll get into the Knicks story on another day. It's kind of long. It started in '99 with the eighth seed run to the finals.
In
Um,
Bed-Stuy.
it was again that Allen Houston Latrell Sprewell team. Obviously, um I came up with like Sean Kemp, Jason Kidd era. I was actually a Nets fan when they were going to the finals with like Kenyon Martin and fucking Keith Van Horn and all these guys. You know what I mean? That was my team. But I kind of just followed the Knicks, and then there was the Steph era. Then they blow it up, and they get like Jamal Crawford, and that was the whole. And I just kind of, and now I'm fucking addicted, and there's nothing I can do about it. And again, I don't know if I would change it, but it's been rough. Let's just say that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But thank you all for
Hey man,
listening. This was
thanks for listening to us grieve. This is this was a manly fucking
cry
venting
session. This is,
session.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a cry session. Let me not mince words. This was definitely a cry session. A
Ladies,
bunch of excuses
this
and a bunch.
this is
What are you talking? Ain't no ladies watching. Come on, let's be real.
oh yeah, that's true. That's true. If
Yeah.
you do happen to be watching, like this is how we get it out. This is how we're here for each other. This is what we are emotional about. And
Yeah.
on the days where you feel like, oh, why you don't talk to me? Well, bitch, pull up a cap sheet. I got a lot to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely don't watch NBA as actively as I used to anymore. But man, this just reminds me why this sport is just so upsetting. I could only help but to kind of root for my team from afar sometimes because the stress
Yeah.
levels, I just can't manage it. Football
Yeah.
is easy. They play once a week, 17 times if we're not including the playoffs and all that shit. So it's a little bit easier to follow without having to go through the day in and day out stresses of watching the game. So, this just reminds me that I'm going to continue to just keep watching from afar because these games have been kind of excruciating to watch, especially that game 6. So I don't know.
Looks like
But
we
yeah,
have Eagles versus Jets on October 15th of this year. I was trying to see if the Jets play any NFC teams, NFC East teams. It looks like we got the NFC East run
All of them
this year.
Let's get it.
So yeah, Eagles Jets this year. We'll we'll
That'd be a
definitely break
matchup.
that down.
The Eagles have we'll talk about it on the pod, but yo, they hold us with the scheduling. Yo, they said, oh, all the NFC East teams want to be good this year. Bet we gonna give y'all the hardest schedule. Yo, did you see the back half of that Eagles schedule?
I'm checking it out now.
It is like they
Oof.
just made it to be prime time football. We only have 4 1:00 games this year or next year.
Yeah. Jeez. So you got
We'll
the
get to it.
Chiefs, the Bills, the 49ers.
That'll be my next video. That's gonna be a
Cowboys.
cry. Next year will be my cry session in week 18 about how we just got demolished in the back half of the season. I'm joking.
8-1 and then finishing up
Yeah.
fucking 9-7.
Deadass.
Fuck.
Deadass.
For sure.
But yeah, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. This is I don't know if Tren is gonna put this on streaming or not. Probably not. If not, this will be on our YouTube.
Yep.
This will also be on our Patreon. Make sure you guys subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/becauseweareapodcast.
Yes, sir.
My name is Dame.
I'm Had.
Watch all of our clips on Instagram. We coming out with fire. The last few episodes that we've been dropping have been heat. We're going to go on a little bit of a hiatus, but don't worry. Stuff like this. Be expecting more content like this. Be expecting us to just pop up, record some shit and just put it out for you guys because we ain't got shit else to do. This nigga turned out on vacation, so
Yeah,
how
man,
we gonna hold it down.
He's living a good life. Yeah.
Yeah, word. So thanks for listening. Because we ball podcast.
Trent says stop shooting the audience.
Bow. Fuck that nigga. He ain't here. Ha ha ha. Nigga. We live. All right, peace.